Welcome back to another episode of the Balance Boldly podcast, where we get bold about our balance and campaign to shake the shame that stunts our growth. I'm your host, Naketa, Thigpen, balance and relationship advisor for bold women in business and a few brave men. This season is brought to you by our power partner and season sponsor, Spreaker.com. As a product of the product, the Balance Boldly podcast utilizes Spreaker's high-quality tools to create, host, distribute, and measure our show. With the use of their easy-to-use iOS and Android mobile apps, podcasters and internet radio show hosts are able to record and store their valuable content and share across multiple networks like iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and more. For more information, visit Spreaker.com. You know, this has been an interesting weekend. I'm going to be full throttle. I'm always transparent, but I'm going to be really raw with you guys. This was one of the most difficult times to squeeze in some podcasting time. I literally had to wait till 7 o'clock at night for my husband and my daughter to get out the house. My son was at work or with his girlfriend, whatever he's doing right now. He's over 20, so it's all good. And it was so loud in here the majority of the weekend, between my husband watching the football game and the kids having their arguments and all that. I was like, listen, people, I need some quality time to get regular work, recording work in. So I'm excited to be here with you right now, trying to squeeze this in before my sister gets here from New York. And I know she's only about 30 minutes away, so we can have some QT time as well. But talk about balance, right? As I'm balancing all these things and we are wrapping up the end of season 1, which is all about commitment challenges. We're just down to our last few episodes here, and I have to say that I was really looking forward to this specific episode. Tonight or today, whenever you're listening to this, I really want to have an opportunity to talk to you all about something that I have been speaking on for the last few years and writing about and talking to other people, especially in our private little virtual teas and my strategy sessions. And that is about inviting change to a seat at your table. For those of you who are familiar with the old days of the 5 a.m. Wake and Breakthrough Periscope mornings, I talked about this a ton. It is so important for us to get out of that space of, hey, I need help, I want help, I need the how-tos, the what-tos, the when-tos, and then you get it. You've been asking for it. It's knocking on your door, and you refuse to let it in. It is time for you to stop refusing those things that you've been asking for, those things that you are afraid to commit to, because what we're going to talk about today are, why are you afraid to commit? Why are you not pushing through? Why are you not opening the door and inviting change in to literally sit at your table and give you the guidance that you've been claiming that you want? And I mean this in your life, your relationships, and your business, because it affects us in all of those areas, on every platform. I know it affects me, and I have to remind myself, listen for the knock. You've been asking the question. The knock is right there. Now that you hear it, don't sit there staring at the door on the other side, like frozen. Move, get up, wake up, and go after whatever it is that you claim you've been wanting. So just diving right in, this is another one of our solo narrative cast. And you know, I always talk in we's and I's, right? Because there's this part of me who's representing the company as a whole as president and CEO. And then there's the part of me who's just literally showing up as little old Naketa Thigpen, who is bringing raw, first partaken stories from myself, sharing anonymously codified stories from my clients and the other women and men that I engage with on a regular basis through business operations. And I want to make sure that you hear that when you hear me alternate between the we's and the I's. It's literally because I'm going between both of those spaces. I'm wearing both of those hats simultaneously on this podcast. And no apologies about it. I just want you to know, like, why is she saying I? Why is she saying we? That's where it's coming from. All right, jumping right in. Something that I have been talking about recently was those quality questions that Tony Robbins talks about. He mentions quite often in many of his teaching points that you're not supposed to just ask any question. You ask quality questions. The question that will give you a direct answer instead of just saying, why can't I lose weight, or why am I not making money in my business, or why are my children not listening to me, or why is my spouse not being as responsive or as romantic as we used to be, or that kind of thing. That's not a quality question. A quality question is broken down more so that you can get an answer that's not based in problematic, thinking. If you keep saying why, your subconscious is basically going to give you some negative counterpoint to say, well, your spouse is not interested right now. You've gained 30 pounds, over the last few years, or you're not as active, or you're not losing weight because you eat too much. He uses all kinds of examples. So if you get a chance, listen to Tony Robbins. I follow some of his Power Hour videos, and they're pretty interesting, especially because I subscribe to the same mentality of the Power Hour and how important it is. So anyway, he talks about these quality questions and the questions that we refuse to ask ourselves. And I think this is all linked to why we're not inviting change to, come into our home and sit at our own tables, right in our space. And I believe that many of you are not asking yourself the right question because you're afraid that the answer will mean you have to commit to whatever it is. Like, you literally open the door to Pandora's box, you see what's in it, and now you're forced to clean up the stuff that shouldn't be in there and deal with the stuff that is. So many of us are walking around, me included at times, because we all vacillate into that negative, dark space at times. What if you succeed? That's a question that many of us won't come to on our own without being pushed because of some really uncomfortable stimulus that happened in our life, some breakdown moment that pushed us to say, I got to do something different. Why haven't I done it already? Well, I was afraid of falling or failing or rejection or losing money or losing time or losing, additional resources that may not necessarily be specific money or whatever the case is, right? So we'll go down the rabbit hole of all the not so good reasons for doing something. But the question you should ask is, what if you succeed? And the reason that many of us won't ask that question is because then we literally have to make room for the success that we said we want. So if I say, well, I want to be an incredible, impactful, global empowerment speaker, which is definitely high up on my list to continue. I'm on the right path. I'm doing everything I need to do, but I am by far not a household name at this point. But if I become a household name, there's a lot that you have to sacrifice when that happens. You lose privacy. You lose the right to, in my case, I will throw on some raggedy old bleach stained sweatpants in a minute to run to the market and, just grab a few things for my family. You kind of lose that ability to do that if you're a household name and you can't walk down the street because too many or many people, if not almost all people, recognize you, right? And that's a drawback for someone like me who really values my privacy. I value my downtime. I value being able to sit in a restaurant with my sister or my brother or my husband and just enjoy each other's company without constant bombardment from people who, maybe they really are interested. Maybe they just want a selfie. Maybe they're hoping to catch you doing something that they can post on World Star. I don't know, but whatever, I would rather not have that, not as an everyday, every moment thing. And because of that, there's been some pullback that I can say from my own life. There's been some opportunities that I said no to. Granted, I filtered them. They probably weren't the best opportunity anyway. But for some people, the mindset is take every opportunity. Every time you have an opportunity to speak, if you want to be a speaker, then you just keep saying yes, 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 yes. And some people do that the same in relationships, right? If you're looking for your soulmate, every opportunity you get to date, just go date and you'll eventually get there. I don't think like that. I also don't utilize my time that way. I value my time and I value myself. So I will say no slowly because you need to evaluate it, right? I talk about the slow no and the deliberate yes quite often. I'll say no a whole lot more than I say yes these days. And the reason is because back in the day when I was young, back in the day, I would say yes a whole lot. And all that did was build up a bunch of regret and resentment for how I spent my time. Saying yes to all the baby showers, yes to all the opportunities to go to, XYZ networking events, yes to all the opportunities to meet with random people who were, connecting with me, who didn't have anything to offer other than, hey, you look like someone I should connect to. And I'm like, okay, sure. Maybe there's an opportunity. You never know. Now, granted, some things happen that way, but most do not. And if you value your time, value yourself, and value not being in a forward space of regret, you'll definitely fall back a little bit, be very slow about your no, and or deliberate about that yes that comes up with it, especially if you are really at that space of just contemplating where you want to go and your next steps. So coming back to the inviting change aspect of it, we want to be really extremely careful about what we're saying no to, not because of the value of time or the value of self or the value of worth, because I'm in that space where, I'm very careful about that and I filter, as much as humanly possible. But I also have to be very careful that I'm not purposefully saying no, because if I succeed in something, that means literally giving up something that I'm not ready for. And you have to be mindful of what it is you're not ready for. Are you afraid that if you're successful in a relationship, that means you won't be able to hang out with your friends anymore? And you'll have to spend all your time with your spouse? Are you worried? These are secret worries, by the way, people. They're not necessarily sitting at the top of your head as a thought that is there. You have to really introspectively look at that and give yourself that opportunity to do it. So if you really look at that core of that space and say, you know what, there's a part of me that is worried that if I succeed at opening up this factory for my products, or if I succeed at getting these 3 new contracts that are $100,000 each, and they're corporate anchored, and they're going to require me to hire more people, there's a part of me that doesn't want to do the people management. There's a part of me that doesn't want to have to be responsible for other employees. There's a part of me who doesn't want to have to be on call, because I'll no longer be able to just do it in more of a solo way, or with my small team. I'll have to expand. And I'm not saying that that's my particular challenge. That's just an example, because I am not worried about that. But if that is your worry, you have to be honest with yourself and make sure you're asking the right question. What if you succeed? And what are those changes that you're going to have to make in order to make room for the success that you want? That's a huge thing to ask yourself before you stare at the door and decide not to open it. It's something you should be asking even before you invite the change in the first place. So that's where I want to go. But that's where I want to leave you right before we take this quick commercial break.
This segment is brought to you by Fresh Level Productions, a video marketing agency that helps you attract, engage, and convert prospects to clients, all with the power of video. Visit freshlevelpro.com to schedule a brainstorming session with a video marketing expert today.
All right, welcome back to Balance Boldly. We were just talking about inviting change to sit at your table, or to a seat at your table, however you want to word it. And we were looking at the quality questions that Tony Robbins talks about, and I believe the number one question we need to be asking ourselves instead of running from this question, which is, what if you succeed, and what changes will you have to make room in your life for the success? So that's where we kind of, left it. I would follow that with saying, who did you give the keys to your future to? Think about that. For some of us, some of those changes that we need to make is not about our time management necessarily, in a kind of generic way. It's not about a weight loss goal or, a business agenda or anything. For many of us, it's people who we need to change. Every quarter, you need to be evaluating your circle. Those Corys, those circle of reciprocal influences, and everyone else that extends out of that circle. Not just your Cory, who's that inner circle. Also, those people who extend out. Those folk that you go have coffee with, that you sit down for tea, that are just real cool people that you might talk to only once or twice a year, or a couple of times in a month, just because you pass the same water cooler together, so to speak, or you're at the same association event or networking event. You need to pay attention to that. And I'm talking about family members as well, because many of those people we've given the key to our future too, and it's holding our future. They are holding our future hostage because we're allowing them to. We feel guilty about something. And you can think about it. I'll give you a couple of examples right now. You could feel guilty because back in the day, you were real close friends. Maybe when you were going through a divorce, or you were having a child, or you were going up for a promotion, you were nervous about something, you lost a loved one. That person was your go-to person at the coffee counter often, or the person that you talked to on your morning drives really regularly, and you had a bond at one time. Maybe you guys were in school together and you were study partners or complaint partners, whatever worked at that time, and that person played a certain position in your life and you played a position in theirs. But here we are years later, and you still feel beholden to that person or those people. You still feel like you owe them some part of your time and your energy and your strength. And you don't. You know how we talked about a couple episodes again? Get your set together, SET, strength, energy, and time. Well, that is relevant to also getting it together and letting some people go to get them out of your space so you can do what you need to do in regards to your success, whatever that looks like for you. But if they're holding the keys to your future because you feel like the history that you have, when all you have is history, that's all you have left, and you feel like for some reason you need to still make yourself available for every call, make yourself available for every opportunity they want to, quote unquote, hit you up and pick your brain about something that you do in your business now, or they want to borrow something, some energy, some resource from you. It may have nothing to do with money, and you still feel beholden. Why? Why do you still feel beholden to those people that you only had history with? Now, this person could be right in your household. This person could be a close extended family member, a first cousin, a brother or sister you haven't talked to, a friend that you sit next to in the office or cubby every single day. This person could also be a collegiate friend or an association network partner or the president of one of the associations that you belong to, right? This person can be many people, or it could be quite a few people that you've handed out the keys to, because every opportunity you get to move forward in your life, they call, they come. And they're asking with a bit of entitlement, because in the back of their mind, they feel like you owe them something too. Let me just state really clearly, you don't owe them anything. You've paid your debt with your life, with your time, with your energy, with you making yourself available for them, and their 7 a.m. phone calls or their long email responses that you had to read through or respond back to. You don't owe them anything else. The only thing you have to do is continue to live your best life and love everyone who comes in contact with you that you can, that is deserving of it first. I do believe that people get the trust until they break it, but that's just my way of approaching things. And that's it. That's all you have to do. So if you have some of those collegiate friends or those partners in your house or right outside of your house, and you feel like you need to give them the hey ho and, kick them out of your life, there is a way to do that. Part of it is starting to teach them that you are not accessible. It's nothing wrong with being available, but you no longer have to be accessible unless those people are in your Cory and you want them to be. So I have a few rules. If you are in my Cory, my circle of reciprocal influences, which means, I have a professional Cory that tears down to a personal Cory as well. If you are in that circle for me, then you really don't have to beholden to my ridiculous schedule. You can call me without going through a calendar link. You can tell me that we need to talk or ask me to rearrange my schedule for something. Granted, my clients and my business is very much a priority, so I can only be but so flexible unless it's an emergency. But you can do that. If you are not in my Corey, you have to get a link to my schedule. That's just what it is. You have to look and see, oh, wow, she's busy for the next 6 weeks. I can't believe I have to wait that long just to have a catch up with her. Yes, you do. You know why? Because while we have not been talking, while the days, the weeks, the hours and months have been going on, I have been focused on the priorities that matter the most to me. That's what I've been doing. The same as I'm sure that's what you've been doing. And with that being the case, we have to make sure that we don't pretend that we've just been sitting here waiting, twiddling our thumbs, saying, oh, sure, whenever you want to get together. No, it's not. It's not whenever. There is a specific scheduled time that I can make it work for non-priority appointments. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't like you. It means you are not a part of that change your schedule group, the call in the midnight hour group. And that's okay. Everyone's not supposed to be a part of that. I'm probably not a part of that for you either. So I don't expect you to drop everything to take my phone call. If we make an appointment and we schedule something and, something urgent comes up or something of higher level priority comes up and you need to change it, I have to respect that. I'm not angry with you that we need to change the appointment and trying to figure out why we can't, reschedule that same day. I respect that you had me at a certain time. And if that appointment needs to be changed, either on my end or your end, it may have to be pushed out another few weeks. That's okay, because you're not in my Corey. So I really want to leave you guys with that, with just a quick reminder. This was a brief podcast to just really talk about what it means to invite change to a seat at your table. It means being honest with yourself, asking the right quality question, starting with, what if you succeed, and what does that mean for making room and making space in your life? It also means paying attention to the people that you've given keys to your future to. Who's holding you hostage, with, guilt of history and time and energy, even though they haven't put any deposits into your life in the days of new or the days of now, they're still holding on to that. And who do you need to take your keys back from? And also making sure that you are honest enough with yourself to say, I have paid my debt, whatever that debt was, in time and listening and resources and energy, whatever it is. If you just owe someone money, then let it be just about that. Don't pretend that you are friends now. Just get on a appropriate payment plan and call it what it is and keep it moving. So I want to leave you guys with that as you think about why you need to invite change to sit at your table. Now, of course, as always, leaving you with a little gentle honesty at the end of every podcast, I just welcome you in this moment to think about why you deserve your success, because you do. You've earned it just by the mere fact that you are here and you are willing to be open to the possibility of limitless success in the first place. So I hope you take that with you. If you have any questions for me, just send them to asknaketa@thigpro.com. That's asknaketa@thigpro.com. And I've been having a lot of fun on Twitter, so I will say, if you are really trying to get a hold of me, definitely connect and engage with me at Balance Boldly on Twitter. It is, some people hate when I say my favorite place to play, because that could mean so many different connotations, but I'm finding myself really being on Twitter more than almost any other platform these days. I'm considering Facebook, but I'm not really sure about that one yet, not from a business perspective. But for business and for questions around your balance challenges, life, relationship, and everything else in between, anything that you're trying to manage, just make sure you connect with me on Twitter or send any of your questions to asknaketa@thigpro.com. Until next time, please continue to set an intention every day and enjoy the balance of your day, but do it boldly.